Hello! Hope you're all doing marvelously well. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Lovely. There's lots of people waiting online. Thank you ever so much. Hello from both Cal. Late, yes, I am 101. I'm 1 minute late. I'm also, according to the first email we sent, 3 hours early. How are you all? Hopefully, I'm going to open up YouTube here as well on the... you'll give me 1 second. I'm going to open it up on my laptop so that I can watch the stream and read the comments a little easier, because it's very, very difficult. Now that is prompt. Exactly, I'm 3 hours early. So hello there in Santiago, Chile. So give me 1 second while I open up the... open it up here on YouTube itself. And then I'll be able to read the comments a little better, because it gives you a little better option on the side. Yay! Okay, that's much, much better. Okay, the picture's not so bad. I mean, it's okay. Hello in Alberta. Hello in Detroit. Hello in Wisconsin. Hello there in the UK. Faroe Islands. Wonderful. More Detroit. Southwest Germany. Beautiful. Okay, I see a picture. Pro Tools priorities. Track voices from left to right. Does that ever affect the way you track or mix? Track voices from left to right. Does that ever affect the way you track or mix? I'm not quite sure. Could you qualify that question for me a little bit? Track voices from left to right. Not sure what you mean. I'm sorry. Can you... most easterly points in North America. Hello there in Gibraltar. Beautiful. Boise, Idaho, Chicago, Rhode Island. How about some t-shirts to the bands you like on stuff you know, we're getting bored with your wardrobe. Yeah, I'm kind of a shirt guy. I'm a married with 2 kids, wears shirts kind of guy and shoes. Nothing like hands-on. Would there be a good book out there on the subject of audio engineering? I don't tend to read personally tend to read the books on audio engineering. I have read Jeff Emmerich's book, which is fantastic. Highly recommend. I'm looking over here. I like biographies and autobiographies. I would say without any hesitation that the best book, and I know a lot of people that agree with this, peers of mine, the best book on this subject is definitely 100% Phil Ramone's book. Phil Ramone's book is the best book on production ever, because it talks about the psychology of working with artists. And he's working with some of the best and the most temperamental artists that ever lived. So I would highly recommend it. Could you grab that book for me, Eric? It's over there on the shelf. Eric? All right. He's in the bathroom. He'll grab it and I'll show you it. That is my favorite book. I highly recommend it. Other than that, let me have a quick look. Back to the questions. What shotgun mics mostly used for, and polar patterns do they have? Well, shotgun mics are always used for production sound, almost entirely. I don't use them. I've only ever used them once or twice. I had some Shep ones that we used as overheads when we were in Indiana tracking. Is there an email address or anything you can reach you with questions? Yes, you can email us at warren@producelikeapro.com or support@producelikeapro.com. We get both of them. What is the one move you always do in a mix or track when recording anything? Andy Wallace uses Yamaha SPX90 patch 15. What do I always do? I always use the vocal widening trick. I always do on every single thing. I also have a PCM90 and I always print 2 particular reverbs, even if they don't end up being that loud. One is called Vocal Magic, and it's a preset. What's the other one called? Oh, Vocal Echo Plate, and that's also a preset. So on the PCM90, Vocal Echo Plate, and 1 Vocal Magic. Sub or no sub? Yes, please sub. Wondering why you don't angle your speakers in. They are angled in. They are definitely angled in, so I'm not quite sure. I've had a couple of people ask me about that. They are angled in. Yeah, they're angled in about 3 or 4 inches from one side to another. So That's an interesting comment, because maybe it just doesn't appear that way. Can you? You see? Can you see this? I'm going to grab the phone and I'm going to flip it around, because I had like a couple of people. You see this? You see the edge there? And you see there how much it's angled in? Quite a lot. You see this edge on the Unity? And you see there? They are angled in. They're angled in quite dramatically, actually. So there must be something about the way it appears to a couple of people, not everybody, but a couple of people. But look and see the angle? They are angled in. Yeah, I've had a couple of people ask that, and I don't understand why. Look, it's quite obvious that they're angled in. Yeah, they're angled in about 3 inches. Look at this one here. Look at my finger here. If I could hold my finger. Look how far that is in there. It's in about that far. And then on this side, it's actually in front. So, the meters of the console. I don't use the plasmas. I only use the VU. So, you know, I don't use the plasmas. In fact, most guys I know that have plasma meters on SSLs don't use them. Just so you know. Okay, I've moved around there just so we can put that point that's been asked about 3 times now to bed. They are angled in about this much, which is about 3 inches. So they're pointed in like this. So quite dramatically. And the seating position on an SSL is about 4 or 5 feet back. So they're angled perfectly. And just so you know, we had a guy come in and ring out the room and have them set up, you know, quote unquote, professionally. So they are definitely all angled in the way they're supposed to be. Sorry, I'm joking. I always say professionally because, you know, we're in the music industry. How much emphasis do you put on the sound stage? I'm not quite sure what you mean. Do you offer an online class to help me with arrangements? Yes, I do, Kip. You can email us at warren@producelikeapro, and we do all kinds of different courses we can talk about. How much do you put on the sound stage? You'll have to let me know, Justin, what you mean by that. What are your thoughts on buying match pairs or individual? I like matched pairs as much as you can do. The one thing, and that's actually a good story, the reason why you hear me harping on about Lewitt mics all the time is because I bought a pair of LCT 550s about, what, 4 years ago now? Because I wanted to get a pair of 414s. And then I went online and I saw that a pair of 414s was going to cost me like just shy of like $2,500. And I was just like, wow, I just want them for overheads or occasional piano recording or stereo mics. And then a friend of mine had just got an LCT 550 and he said to me that he bought a second one and they spec'd out exactly the same. So of course, like any good skeptic, I went online and I read about it and I read that they do spec out exactly the same. So I bought a pair of LCT 550s. The rest is history. So, and I think they were at the time about $500 or $600. So for less than the price of one AKG 414, I got a pair of LCT 550s, which sound absolutely amazing. So yes, I do believe, I think it's good to have one pair of condensers at some point in your career. I think that you should start with a really nice large diaphragm condenser to sing through and a 57, a dynamic or something like it, but probably at least a 57. What's the best advice you've ever received, says Six String. The best advice I've ever received is take a good food order. Basically, if you don't pay attention to the smallest details at the beginning, then you're not going to be given more work. If you're in a studio and you're assisting and you don't pay attention to like the food order, you don't pay attention to plugging in the mic properly, nobody's going to rely on you to do anything. So the take a good food order was kind of joking, but it's a very important point. We need to be very, very aware you know, that detail is really important in what we do. How often do you butt heads with artists and how do you handle it? Well, it's difficult. I mean, there's butting heads and then there's being honest and forthright and helping out your artist. I think if you're being honest and you're forthright and helping out the artist, then it's okay. But butting heads is obviously, you don't want to get, I got asked this when we were at NAMM, the most important thing is don't let your ego get in the way. Just because you feel insecure and you don't understand their idea doesn't mean that you should be, you know, shooting it down. You need to be open to all ideas, because as I constantly say, you talk about this guy over here, and this is a great book, of course, talking of books. This is Jeff Emerick. Jeff Emerick, I believe, was 19/20 years old. He was no older than about 20 years old when he made Revolver with the Beatles. And they would have been early 20s to mid 20s. John Lennon was 30 in 1970, so he would have been 25 or 26 years old, and he was the oldest with Ringo, and then the other guys would have been like 23 or 22, 23 or 24. So the point is like they were, so the engineer's like 19, 20, and the oldest guy in the band's like 25 years old or 26. So I say that because it's really, really important to remember that these guys were kids by today's standards. They were very, very young. So they weren't like a bunch of experts around. And even though George Martin was probably in his 30s, it was still a case of experimentation. And the Beatles were driving the experiment. They were coming along to George Martin. They were going, we want to do this, we want to do that. They were trying all this backwards stuff. They were, you know, phasing and flanging, and all that stuff was being invented at the time. And it doesn't come from the experts that know everything, that are always telling you guys and me and everybody else off and leaving comments saying you did it wrong. It's like, yeah, you know what? We all do it wrong. We all make these mistakes. But if we go back to the greatest sounding albums and the greatest sounding recordings, they always came from mistakes. Yes, as Meep is saying, creativity is king. So just give yourself a freaking break. Give yourself a break. And, you know, remember that this is a, I'd love to do one with Bob Clearmountain. Give yourself a break and remember that you are just like everybody else. You're learning, you know, you're learning, and in the process of learning, you're also inventing, you know, so that's what's so good. Give me 1 second. For those of you, you know, we're all learning as we go. This is a wonderful business. This is a wonderful time for all of us. It's so exciting that now we can make music and so easily. Because when I was a kid, it was a 4-track cassette or 2 cassette players or maybe a reel-to-reel, and a studio of any kind of level of quality that you can now get in a laptop or even your iPhone is so readily available. And we are really, really blessed to be able to have that. It's so remarkable. Give me 1 second. I am just setting something up here. I dropped $250,000 on a building in Nashville. Well, if I drop $250,000 on a building in Nashville or Los Angeles, will they come? I heard that if they build it, they will. I don't know. Well, if $250,000 in Nashville is going to get you so much incredible stuff. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's not going to be, you know, that is not going to be, $250,000 will get you a building and get you a ton of gear. Yes, as Thomas is pointing out, if you try to do that in Los Angeles, you will not get much. So, you know, be very aware of that. You know, the thing about living in LA is nothing here is cheap. Nothing here is inexpensive. Speaking about the gear, you don't need $250,000 worth of gear. I'm talking to somebody at the moment who is doing, wanting to create a studio in a different part of the world. I'm not going to tell it who it is. It's his own private business, and we're going through all of the different equipment that he could get and all this kind of stuff. And ultimately, $200,000 is going to be more than enough for us to get us all of the amazing gear that he wants. So 250 is a lot these days, you know, because even if you bought yourself a small format console like an API 1608 or something like that, it's only going to be about $50,000 or $60,000. And then most people are going native these days and not buying, not buying HDX systems. So somebody's saying they want a mix breakdown of Marc Broussard. I'd love that. I'll have to ask him if he'll let us do that. That would be really good. As you know, I worked with Marc Broussard on his second to last album. One question: how do I put a price on my work? I think you have to understand your market forces. You have to know who your client base are. What can they really afford? It's a really difficult one. I think that these days, you know, people are mixing songs from $50 to $7,500, and everything in between. So, you know, or somebody's asking about the Quincy Jones interview. Yeah, there's some crazy stuff in there. That's all I can say. I'm going to get out of the contentiousness. But wow, he says some crazy stuff, especially when he said that Paul McCartney was a terrible bass player. But then he also said it. Oh, I'm not even going to go in there. Anyway, so it's pretty funny. But I do think that by doing a crazy interview, you get a lot of people talking about you. And he's got a book coming out, hasn't he? I know he's got a TV series coming out. So, you know, he's probably learning from all the other marketing geniuses. You know, just come out there and say some contentious stuff and people talk about you. So, yeah, as far as the mix price is concerned, I think you just have to understand you're an artist and just be blunt. Just say, what's your budget? If you're not sure, just literally say to them, what is your budget? And if they say, my friend will do it for $50 and that's too little for you, just be like, that's too little. Just be honest and say that you can't do it for $50. But if it's a budget that you can do it for, like a couple of $100 or $1,000 or whatever it is, then, you know, it's really a case of you being really honest with your clients and finding out what they can afford. Somebody's saying, can you please give me advice on mixing and mastering a clean guitar sound? I mean, that's a massive question. I mean, if you want energy out of a small, tiny, clean guitar sound, then obviously you can try parallel compressing it and bringing up energy underneath, because some clean guitar sounds with no saturation are very, very overly dynamic. They have hugely loud, peaky transients. So you'll want to compress the transients, sometimes even limit them if they're too much. And even then, if it still starts to sound thin, try massively compressing it on a parallel and then bringing it up underneath. Hi from Scotland, just wondering what compression on the way in is for rock pop vocals. What ratio, attack and release would you use? I usually go pretty gentle on it. I'll go 2, 3, or 4 to 1 on the way in, but for me, who's been doing it for years, I'll also run another compressor at 20 to 1 after that, believe it or not, just catching crazy peaks for the guys that are maybe like, I don't really, no way, you can't. Because you get people singing like that, especially younger or less experienced, not necessarily age, but less experienced singers, they will be overly dynamic. So that's really important. What's the biggest fails in recording instruments, like having messed up mics that were reversed, and how have you fixed it? That are reversed? Well, I mean, if it's just phase or polarity issues, if you're recording in digital, you can do so much. Oh, by the way, I have to ask, please like and share. And if you're not already a subscriber, would love it if you subscribe. Thank you ever so much. Please subscribe. What's the biggest and most difficult complex songs you've ever done in your life? I've done so many. Working with the Fray, like Enough for Now, was a complex song to work on. You know that song Enough for Now? Just because that drum beat with the toms, just getting that right, it just took a long time recording that, getting the groove right. The drummer's a really good friend, Ben Wysocki, or Ben Wysocki as Americans say. And he, you know, it took a while to get it. So even though it wasn't necessarily the most amount of tracks, sometimes you're working very closely with an artist to get something. What do you tell a vocalist who isn't as good as he thinks he is? I don't think that's for us to say. As good as he thinks he is a judgment. That's like because they come in with a lot of confidence. Some artists are very confident, but they may not be that talented, but that's not necessarily a big problem. We don't have to judge them on their level of confidence. If a singer is not as good as they need to be, then you just have to do your job. And for us, sometimes that's doing a lot of takes, comping, have yourself a lyric sheet, make notes as it goes down. When you like a word, circle it, write a number down, like take 7, take 1, take 3. And eventually you will have a sheet that tells you where every single, you know, lyric, word, syllable, whatever it is, where the good ones are. Great. Great producers always use vocal sheets. I worked recently with David Foster. He had lyric sheets. He was marking everything down. We didn't do more than 10 takes. By the end of it, you know, David Foster, check out his resume, is insane. At the end of it, he had the vocals done, and where he didn't see something circled or noted, he went back and fixed it. Therefore, you're not exhausting your singer. I've watched a lot of bad producers when I was engineering only, literally do hundreds of takes with no direction from them. You know, it's, somebody says, tell us some funny Aerosmith stories. I'll do that later. Oh, and do me a favor, Eric, can you find me the Phil Ramone book and bring it over here? It's on the shelf there. So anyway, so be focused when recording vocals. Get that lyric sheet, especially when you're working with a singer who's maybe inexperienced, and make sure you take good notes so you can give them good direction. Quick question, as an engineer, should we learn to commit performance in one take recording, or are we led by the quality of the musicians? I mean, that's an interesting question, interestingly posed question. I think that you're always going for performances. Because if you go for performance, you have to do less fixing. The more fixing that you do, the more perfect it will sound, and the more people will lose the humanity, and then we'll end up having these long discussions about what was wrong with the song. So if it takes time to get a performance, it takes time. But again, that same trick when it comes to lyrics, you have to be able to know when something's good. So get yourself a pad of paper. This is a pad of paper. It has notes in it. It says, put drum samples in, check vocals, sing, all the blah, 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 driving guitars in chorus. The point is there are notes in here about songs that, so I know where we are in a track and where, if we have to improve something. So take good notes, have a pad of paper, you know, use something. Okay, here's my favorite book on production. It's called Making Records by Phil Ramone. If you're going to Kindle it, buy it, download it, whatever, this is the book that you want. I met Phil Ramone just before he died. He was working right up until he died at Capitol Records, and he had a chart out. He had this chart, and he was doing a full orchestra, and he had a pencil, and he had the string arranger standing next to him, and he was making notes on the chart. And I came in with Jack Douglas, and we were in the room next door mixing with Al Schmidt and Steven Tyler. There's a lot of big name dropping, and there's a purpose for that. So I'm with all these big famous guys, and we walk in, and Jack and I, this is Jack Douglas, who produced Aerosmith and John Lennon and everything, and we turn to each other, and both of us say, point to Phil and go, that's a real producer. It's just like, there's a guy, you know, he's dying of cancer, he's doing a string arrangement, and he's making notes on the chart and talking to the string arranger and changing it in real time. You know, that's, so even if none of us are that talented that we can read or write charts, he is, he was, read his book. It's really, it doesn't matter if you're doing EDM or pop or metal. It's great to understand the psychology of a great producer who really understands how to relate to people. And it starts from the simple level of like having a cup of tea, a favorite cup of tea available, or a specific drink, or just understanding the detail about how to deal with artists. It's really, really a very, very good book. Yes, you can buy the 1173 from Funky Junk in the UK. Funky Junk, you can buy it. Or you can just buy it from Vintage King and they will ship it. Would you recommend an RME or UA intervoices currently used in Genelec 8030s? Thanks in advance. Honestly, I'm very blunt about this stuff. When I talk about things, I try to go for best value for money. So you know why I love Lewitt mics and I love other microphone companies as well, is because I believe that they're very, very good value for money. There's also Roswell, our friend Matt McGlynn. Roswell mics are amazing. People tell us about the Mini K47 all the time, about how amazing it is. Lewitt make a huge range of microphones and they make great stuff. I would say when it comes to IOs, I've personally been favoriting. Oh, Real Home saying, please hit the like button. Yes, please like and share. I would really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. All right. So the reason why I like Audient in particular is because they're an incredibly easy company to deal with. So, but if you want me to be honest, there's a lot of really, really good, affordable interfaces. And you talk about RME, UA, Audient, Focusrite. They all make a really good product, and not many of them, all of them use the same chip. So the architecture around them, electronics around them is really, really good. I've been favoring Audient because I like the sound of their mic pre's, and I know that they use expensive mic pre's in their cheaper ones to try and compete and have something that's a better product. So I like that. But ultimately, why do I like them? Because they're a really easy company to deal with. They have great customer service, they have great support, and they're trying really, really hard to build and establish themselves. So they're working extra overtime to be really good and really supportive. And if you are just like me doing this, oh, who gave a thumbs down? Oh, it's just competitive people that don't worry about stuff like that. You know, it's okay. And also, I had somebody once saying, "Don't ask for me to subscribe." It's like, but that's how the channel exists. You know, we need subscribers. So if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. And that's quite all right if you don't want to. But please like and share. Thank you ever so much for pointing that out. I really appreciate it. So, oh, somebody talking about those 12 Lewitt mics as well. Yes. We have to enter next time we do the competition. They went to Brazil. Haters gonna hate. Yes, they are, Harry. Oh, and the next thing is, the other thing I would say that's really, really important that I want us to be able to talk about is that every competition we do, we ship worldwide. So I know that there's people saying, a couple of people said that they don't. Well, we've shipped to Malaysia, we've shipped to Australia, New Zealand, Germany, UK, Canada, America, every single, I don't know, Eric could do a list. As far as I know, there's not been a country there's no country that we don't ship to. So you can enter our competitions, and oh, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Justin. Yes, if you haven't, please check out the 1173. You can go to the Vintage King, go to the video, and you can click on the link there to Vintage King and check it out and buy it if you want. And thank you. Somebody's saying, please like and subscribe and sign up for the email list. I appreciate it. Do you like Logic Pro? Yes, I do like Logic because they're... please show us Eric. Eric. Yeah. I see it is... I know I froze because somebody was calling on the other line. We have to figure out how to turn that off. Here is Eric, and look at his hair.
Yep.
Is your hair good today?
This is... I don't want to say 2 days. Two days ago hair.
2 days ago hair. I don't know.
I've been cutting it tight.
Hey, Eric.
Hey.
Hola, Eric.
Hola.
That's right, Gonzalez. Emo Kid.
Yeah, no.
Oh.
I had that coming.
Is there an artist I'm looking forward to working with? Yes. I don't know how to stop the calls coming in. I wish I did. I'm about to, at some, mix Ace Frehley's new album, and it's always amazing working with Ace Frehley. Those of you that are classic rock fans will know just how incredible that is. So please like and share. You know, tell all your friends. Like and share. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. As you notice, we're doing a lot of video content at the moment. It's really important to us that YouTube, that we stay connected with everybody on YouTube. Say hi to Eric. I like him. That's what they said. Yay. New features coming in 2018. I haven't got to them yet. No, it's the phone inside of... I'm talking to you on my cell phone. So it's going there. Liked and sub. Thank you very much. Yes, Fact Friday will be up tomorrow. What's the Beatles album that you learned that you learned from the most? Probably actually Rubber Soul for songwriting is insane. Harmonies. Revolver for production. The White Album for production, believe it or not. And Abbey Road for production for obvious reasons, but my favorite ever Beatles album, get this, is Let It Be. Let It Be to me is like raw and wrong in all the ways that I love rock and roll to be. You know, when I hear this, when I hear, you know, all I want is you. That to me just, that's so good. Or, you know, or you know, that all of that stuff is absolutely amazing, you know, just raw rock and roll, you know. It's just really an amazing album. It's raw, it's passionate. I personally think it's Paul McCartney's best singing, you know. All I want is, you know, that everything's gonna be because. Just so much great. How much do I charge? Yeah, Let It Be's amazing. How much do I charge for mixing? Email me, send me a track so I can hear it, and I'll give you what I think it will be. So send me the song that you want mixed, an MP3. You can email me at warren@producelikeapro.com, or you can send it to me at support@producelikeapro.com. So thank you everybody who's watching. This is absolutely amazing. I really appreciate it. Do you set your effects per send instrument and send multiple instruments to one delay or reverb? Both. I will sometimes create a single auxiliary and put the reverb and delay on it and send just to that. Or I'll have, you know, one reverb and delay and then send multiple things on it. I'm staying on until 12. Thank you for the YouTube videos. I'm very glad that you enjoy them. Izzy has arrived. Hey Izzy, we're live. Would you mind going down to Lily? Great. What do I think about private music academies like, sorry, I missed a, oh, I didn't see what you said, like SAE or United Pop. I don't know what United Pop is. I think that there are like loads of different ways to learn what we do. So there are degree schools, which are 3 or 4 year degrees. There's degree schools. Then there's the pay schools, which can be like anywhere from 3 months to like 9 months or a year. And then there are, of course, like online stuff, of which, you know, I have Produce Like a Pro Academy. If anybody's interested, go to producelikeapro.com and you can sign up for a free trial of the Academy. The point is, taking away me from it, you've got online resources, you've got short-term pay schools, or you've got long-term degrees. Every single one of those ones work for the right person. It really depends what fits your kind of thinking, what's good for you, you know. Not everybody is going to like that principle of, you know, a full, long-time degree. And not everybody is going to want to do it online, and not everybody is going to want to do it in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months or whatever it is. The point is like, you just need to find what fits you. When I was younger and learning, I hated schools. I hated going to them. I just wanted to pick up the guitar and learn. You know, I just wanted to be able to learn how to play guitar. And so I did everything I possibly could. There wasn't the online community that we have now, where I could learn how to, you know, when I was learning how to do all that sweep picking stuff, somebody said to me when I did it, oh, you're doing the Vinny something or other technique. And I'm just like, if I am, I don't know. I don't know how, because I just like picked up a guitar and I wanted to do sweep picking. And I remember you saw these ads and stuff in magazines, and you bought albums and you heard people doing it, and then Vinny Moore, thank you. But I had to like figure it out. There wasn't a YouTube video. I didn't have a VHS player when I was a kid. I couldn't watch videos of people doing it. So I just went, well, this is an arpeggio, you know. That was an arpeggio, and I just went. So that's all I did. I just figured out how to do it. And then somebody says that you're doing Vinny Moore, and no disrespect to Vinny Moore, he's amazing, but the point is like, it's just coincidental, because that's how you do things. We're blessed now because, You know, if we want to do the Frank Gambale as you're mentioning there, or we can find it. But when I was a kid, you couldn't find that stuff. You know, it just wasn't. It was available. It's just one of those things. You know, we just did what we could do. It's rather special anyway. We're very, very blessed to have this stuff. So I think as far as you're answering your questions, any of the schools are good. Any of the methods are good, if that's what your brain likes, if that's what is good for you. For me, I get stuck in. Somebody mentioned the recording, radio, and film connection thing. That works. That works. That Eric went there, and that works for people like Eric and other people that just want to get in a studio and hang out with guys like me and learn. And I do think that's a huge part. If you can get into a studio and work with a producer or an engineer on a daily basis, you'll learn so much more. When will Shelly be back? Soon. I love Shelly. Have you heard about the CAD mics? Yes, they make great mics. We used them on the Aerosmith record. We did some mono room miking stuff. You should do about teaching guitar licks. Yeah, I'm staying on for another hour. Another 22 minutes. Thanks for the content, Warren. Learned a ton. Building a small home studio. I'm currently on a budget, looking for one mic to start. FSM57 or a condenser mic. Extreme metal. I would just get 57, to be honest. Get a 57 first, because you can probably buy a used one under $100 and just get making music. You can record your guitars, you can scream through it, and when you get going and you've got a few $100s, then buy yourself a nice mid-price condenser. Love the challenge, very helpful. Are you using Propeller or Reason? I used to use Reason when it was early, and it was amazing. I haven't used the most recent version. Do you recommend some schools? The ones that I have close relationships with when it comes to doing a degree are IU, Indiana University. If you know about the 1173, I designed it with a friend of mine, Michael Stucker, who is a freaking genius, and he's a professor at IU. So he's really smart. And IU, I also have 2 or 3 people I'm very close with. Hello there in Poland. I'm very close with that went to IU, and that I really, really value their talent. Yes, I did help with the 1173. It was my original idea. I wanted a 1073 and an 1176 in a box because they're my go-to mic pre and my go-to compressor. So I thought, let's make an affordable. I know it's over $1,000, but it's still cheaper than buying a 1073 at $3,500 and an 1176 at $1,500, $2,000. You know, so for under $5,000, I wanted something that sounded pretty darn close. So that's why we designed it. And Michael's a good friend of mine, and he's very smart. So yes, the only school I've had only schools, plural, that I've had personal experience with are USC. I have other guys that work for me, a couple of guys that won Grammys that went to USC, and IU. In England, Leeds is very famous and very well respected. Also, of course, Berklee College of Music is very well respected. I can't speak about other ones, not because they're not good, but because I have no personal experience. I can only talk about things I have personal experience with. Blackbird Academy has started to become something a lot of people talk about, and I've met a couple of good people from there. But I can't really, without having gone to them or having worked with alumni from it, it's not important. I think it's very... I watch a lot of guys, or hear from a lot of guys who have opinions on everything. I don't have an opinion on everything. You know, they are experts that come along and troll me and troll other people and do videos knocking people and, you know, highlighting negative comments about other people's channels because they're insecure and because they don't have experience doing what we do. Ultimately, you're going to gravitate towards people that are positive and are helping you because they have a success, and they care about you, and they want to give back to you. Those are the people you need to surround yourself with. And when people have an opinion on everything and tell you, this sucks, you know, you don't know what you're doing, it sucks. If you're gonna hear people like that, back away, run away. They obviously don't have a greater understanding. They probably work in isolation. They don't produce, they don't engineer. They don't mix with an artist there. Those are the kind of things that are going to hold you back. So try to surround yourself, whether it be from YouTube learning or schools or colleges or just the musicians and the artists and the other producers and the mixers that you are with. Surround yourself with positive people who are supportive of what you do and don't care if you make a mistake in music, because making a mistake in music, as long as you learn from it, could either be learning and getting better, or number two, and most importantly, could be something that's the most amazing thing you've ever done. So when somebody asked me about the best piece of advice, and I said, take a good food order, the second piece of advice is listen to your artist, because they might have the craziest idea, like, here we go, Warren, here's my chord sequence. I want to put a B flat in there, like, but that's not in the key of the song, because it's a 1, 4, 5. But listen to it. It's like, oh wow, that B flat just came out of nowhere and was exciting. It's stuff like that, you know. Do you remember the story? Have you heard the story about Mozart? That when he sent his first manuscripts to have them printed, he got a note back from the printers saying, you made a mistake. Because it would have been like, da, 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 you know, it would have been like he's in G major. But that's outside of G major. He put a flat 5 in. It's like, the point is like, it's been this way forever. It doesn't matter whether it's classical music and it's Mozart and Beethoven or before. And it doesn't matter if it's now with trash talkers on YouTube or whatever, like, you know, saying that this guy does not know what he's talking about. The point is like, that is the world we live in. So make sure you surround yourself with really good, positive people to support. There's some great resources out there. There's some great schools when you're asking about schools. And everything is not necessarily good or bad. It's like, what works for you? Okay, MyTech. Haven't heard the MyTech, but I do. The E602 is fantastic. You're very welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed the advice. Yeah, just seek out the good people that are there to help you, that are not just, because when somebody's knocking somebody else, they're really, this is what they're saying. They're not saying he's wrong. They're saying, listen to me, I'm right. Because I'll tell you now, and you can all tune out if you like, I don't know everything. I'm still learning, and I make mistakes all the time. I didn't engage the sidechain function on one of those 2 videos. I refilmed it, sent it to the guy, my editor, and he forgot to include it. So there's a mistake on a video. I make mistakes all the time. And if somebody calls me out, I go, oh my God, you're right. You are right. I made a mistake. And so live in that world. Live in that world where you plug in your guitar and it feeds back and makes a weird noise. That can be the greatest guitar sound ever. Live in the world where you record the vocal and you accidentally have 2 auxiliaries running through it and one goes through a flanger, and don't delete the flanger on the effect. Now suddenly it's the greatest thing you've ever done. You understand what I'm saying? If you do everything by the book and you listen to the experts, you're not going to be Phil Ramone and you're not going to be Jeff Emmerich. You're going to be the guy that's trolling everybody and telling them they're doing it wrong. You want to be the guy, or the girl, sorry. You want to be the person that is always pushing boundaries, making mistakes, getting creative, being an open person to having people, being into collaboration, working well with others. That's who you want to be. That is the #1 secret to success. Not trying to set yourself up as the authority that knows everything, that has thousands of posts on Gear Sluts and tells everybody they're doing it wrong. That's not going to get you a career. And it's not going to like help each other out. We live, you know, one of the great things about globalization, about YouTube and everything, is we get to talk to each other. And everybody here, yeah, or herself, exactly. Yeah, somebody's here. They're not wrong, they're just different. Sometimes a junk tape can be used for great fun. Absolutely. Love your mistakes. Vanilla is not awesome. Yes. Humility is important. So, and to be trusted by many in growing your craft. Yes. Wonderful comments. When do you start? When you're recording session for a singer-songwriter that prefers an acoustic guitar, do you record both the instrument, then remove it later, or tracks out it? Wonderful question, Wiley. Really good question. So this is what I do. when I'm working like with like Malky Polka, Trevor Hall, Christina Holmes, Josh Radin, Mark Broussard, when I work with those acoustic-based artists, the singer of The Fray, the first guys I talked about were vocal acoustics. The singer from The Fray, Isaac, was a piano vocal. What they do is they go into the live room after we worked on the arrangement and they sing it down live. They pick up the guitar and they go, whatever it is, and they sing and play live with one mic. And then we track to that, or they track live with it. Then if they want to replace the acoustic and the vocal later, which often and almost entirely they will do, but at least we have a scratch performance. With Christina recently, she goes in and she sings it down live and plays it and makes sure the click and the tempo and the feel is good. Because now she's got a click, she's got a, you know, tick, tick, click, 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 and she's singing and playing. Then what we can do is we can have her play acoustic guitar against it or sing against it. The point is like, the actual, otherwise there can be a disconnect. If you just put a click down and you just like, the guitar player goes in and goes, so the guitar player goes in and does that, you can track the whole frickin' song and then the singer comes in and goes, it's too fast, or the groove isn't there, it doesn't feel good. So the answer to your question is, where you can, Wiley, amazingly good question, one of the best questions I've had so far, is if you can capture a live performance and then track to that, because it's going to be so much easier to get the groove to feel good around that. You know, scratch vocals and scratch guitars are amazing, or scratch pianos, whatever it is. And somebody's saying here, so many times they've used, you're very welcome, Wiley, great question. Love to do another episode with Matt Mahaffey. He's amazing. I saw him at NAMM. Wow, that guy is so freaking talented. 376 watching. Thank you very much. Thank you ever so much. Please like and share. I see 187 likes. Can we make it 380? Thank you. And the reason why I say that is apparently YouTube will share it. 381. YouTube will share the video and let people know if it's liked and shared a lot. It's the algorithm, baby. Isn't it like YouTube and Facebook now with their algorithms, you know? Do I use references when recording? Yes, all of the time. I just did. Thank you, everybody that's liking and sharing, and thank you to the 389 people are on. I just did the new Rick Springfield record, which I highly recommend you check out. It's really, yeah, YouTuber versus algorithm. Thank you for liking and sharing. Thank you ever so much, everybody. I just did the new Rick Springfield record, so I referenced the tracks that he was inspired by. Rick is an incredibly talented guy, and he loves music. I mean, he loves music. So we would email backwards and forwards, and I would say, hey, this song, it makes me feel like World Party. And he's like, oh, yeah, huge Carl Wallinger fan. So what do? I go back and I listen to some Goodbye Jumbo, and I hear it in his music. And then he talks about the Beatles. He talks about Traveling Wilburys. He talks about the Stones and Zeppelin, and I start referencing the stuff, and I get into the feel of what my artist is talking about. And I would be sitting on with headphones on the couch, reading his emails, listening to the music that he's referencing. I mean, and what is more exciting than working with a world-class artist that's inspired by amazing music? Isn't that incredible? We've got 10 more minutes left. Let's see if we can get into... It was not a flat 5, it was a sharp 4th. You know, it really depends on where you're coming from, how you want to talk about it. So if you're talking in jazz, it would definitely be a flat 5. But hey, I don't mind. But again, you know, you're an expert. I'm not an expert. Are you using Pro Tools 12? I have several Pro Tools. We use Pro Tools 9 actually with the SSL, and we use Pro Tools 12, 8, whatever it is, inside on the same computer on a partition. What's Mark's good question? I can't see. Mark, what's your good question? What's the best way of recording a vocalist with serious power? Chris Cornell's range. Using a SM7 would be more air. Yeah, I think an SM7. I do think a handheld is a really good idea for a live singer. Yeah, somebody says they're an expert at getting it wrong. So am I. I'm an expert at getting it wrong. Which DIW do I think sounds the best? I don't know if I have an opinion on that. I don't know if I do. I've never really compared like that. I've got great results, everything. So that's a really good question. Handheld is the way to go for a powerful rock singer that's not experienced. Steven Tyler gets up on the U47. He's actually never sung on a U47 before he worked with me. He'd only worked with on 67. He gets up and he's like, and he backs up from the large diaphragm condenser. Steven Tyler is an experienced singer with 40+ years worth of experience. So he backs away from the mic when he's wailing. However, if you're a young, up-and-coming or an inexperienced singer in the studio, you're not going to do that. They don't. They get up, they get to their U47 and they go, wah! And the mic just kind of goes, well, even if the mic can handle the SPL, which a 47 can, your compressor goes, your mic pre goes into square waves, and sometimes it's pleasant and sometimes it's horrific, depending on how dynamic they are. So give them a microphone, a dynamic that can can take the sound pressure level, and B, that they can control in 2 different ways. Does it? I know it sounds really obvious, but think about it. You're holding a mic and you can go like this, as well as doing this. So you can say to them, you can talk to them like, hey, you know, when you go into that thing, just pull the mic back. It's so much easier. It's more intuitive to use your hands and your head. Like, I know I'm quite mobile when I talk and I bob around all over the place, but ultimately, look at this. Most people, we're using our hands all day. We're not doing this. So they don't naturally, I know it's obvious to explain it and everybody's going, duh, but it's the truth. It's easier when you're working with an inexperienced singer to have them move a mic away than it is to move away from the mic. Because when they're in the moment, they might be like, wah! They're not going to go, wah! They're going to move their hands. So, Chris Cornell style vocalist, give him a 57, a handheld 57. An SM7 will definitely take the sound pressure level, and a dynamic mic will definitely do it. But I would definitely highly, highly suggest a 57, because you're much better off putting the singer at ease and getting an amazing performance over anything else. That's the most important thing. Get them at ease and all that kind of stuff. Roll off at 100 for vocals. You can. You can. I mean, honestly, I usually wait to mix to high pass. You know, I usually, thank you ever so much, Mark. I usually wait to the mix. However, you know, high passing, I've got a new course I'm doing that's coming out tomorrow. And I talk about high passing and how there's been this horrible, like, misinformation going on about it. And I talk about, like, all the great mixers that I work with, like the really great ones, not the self-appointed ones, but the actual great ones, like the Andy Wallaces and the Neil Avrons and the Michael Browers, and, you know, the Chris Lord Allergies and the Tom Lord Allergies and the Mark Enderts and all of these guys, and all of them do a lot of high passing, because when you've got a kick, a bass guitar, an electric guitar, a keyboard, and a vocal, if they're all overlapping in that low end, you don't get more low end. You get less. You get mud, and you get phase and polarity issues. Things cancel out, and it turns into a lot of mud. Also, another misinformation is you can control multiple sources. There was another piece of massive disinformation talking about like 3 kick drums and don't EQ them separately going into one. Yes, do EQ them separately. Everybody who knows what they're doing does that, because you need to separate them so they live in different spaces. So if I roll off the low end of one kick drum to give me snap, like Bob Marlette does, I'm using that kick sample maybe, or one of those 3 kick mics, just for the snap. I'm using the other kick mic always just for the low end, and then some of the mid-range from a third one. So you have to, real professionals who do, I hate saying professionals, definitely not experts. There's professionals, which means you're getting paid. Experts definitely doesn't mean you're getting paid. The expert guys that tell you, you have to bust them together and EQ in one source. Well, if you do that, you won't get a good kick drum sound. You need to control those three before you bust them together. And don't look at the waveform and go, but it looks different. I don't care what it looks like. Does anybody, when they're listening to the radio, care what the waveform look like? Answers on a postcard, please. Addressed to I'm Not an Expert, P.O. Box I'm Not an Expert 1 at City I'm Not an Expert, State I'm Not an Expert, in the United States of I'm Not an Expert. But the point is like, it doesn't matter what it looks like. Showing something on a Pro Tools screen is not a good way, is not even a way. You need to be able to listen. People don't listen to music by watching waveforms. So, Bob Marlette, go check him out. Check out that course if you can that I did on the Pro Mix Academy. The point is, Bob Marlette is a huge rock mixer, not a guy that thinks he's, or a girl that thinks they're a great mixer. He really is. He's not an expert. He'll never tell you that he knows everything. He doesn't. But if he's using 3 different kick sources, a kick in, a kick out on the head on the outside, and then a kick mic pulled back, he'll EQ them independently in 3 different ways, because they all give you 3 different results, and then he buses them together. So I know there's a lot of bad, terrible misinformation telling you don't EQ things differently, only do them in one source. You should do, because otherwise, yeah, expat. I am an expat. You know, you just basically just do what works, do what sounds good. Please don't look at the screen. And when people show you things on a screen, it should be just what it's sounding like. I'm just sitting here watching the waveforms go, just sitting here watching the waveforms go round and round. Wonderful. Anyway, business question. If 2 people co-write a song, publishing, master, all 50-50, how do you assign the artist, who does distribution, and can you sell it for sync? Yeah, of course you can. You can do all those things. I would basically just, I mean, it's always nice to split things in an even percentage. Thank you very much, Van. I just want to get away from experts, because what I'm telling you is just based on listening. And please don't think that I really know what I'm doing. Hello there in Scotland. I basically am just like you guys and girls. I'm just making up as I go. And all I know, in your courses, do you reveal our mixes? Yes, anything inside of Produce Like a Pro, we review. And yeah, so no experts, you know, because it's always the experts. We have to talk about these experts that that don't know what they're talking about. And it's just so difficult, because we should be encouraging each other. And I love, you know, thank you for finding my channel. It's something really important that we all share and help each other. Keep this positive. Only trust the people who do. This industry is full of people who appreciate passion and always willing to advise. Thank you very much, AJ. Could you mix an EP of mine? Sure. Send me a song to listen to. Hey, Jeff. Jeff's a superstar, an amazing drummer. Check out Jeff's stuff. Also, AJ's massively talented. There's some really good people in here. So many good people in here. Johnny Lipson, how are you? Yes, humble sharing and learning breeds success. I agree. Have I tried the MyTech? I haven't tried the MyTech, but I do know Kenny Arnoff has them and loves them. Ears first, eyes later. Just ears only. When are we going to get a Warren Huart studio tour? I keep talking about it, but I'm about to. Hello from Hampshire, wherever you are. As a songwriter myself, not a performer, would you recommend using a publisher to try and get songs covered? And if so, any suggestions? No. I think that if you're going to do a publishing deal, they need to give you money up front. Or if they don't give you money, they need to give you assurances. And if they don't meet the assurances of getting stuff cut for you, then you need to like get away from it. Because the last thing you want to do is give people songs, 100% of your song, and they just own it. And they don't have to work for it. You need to have people that you either believe in and are passionate and are working and have great communication with you, or you need money. Simple as that. Hello from London. I'm an expert. That's why I'm watching a video and not making tons of money from working. Oh, Darren, I'm sure you're doing great. Cristiano Ronaldo, please play a song on that. Cristiano Ronaldo's watching me. Cristiano Donaldo, that would be me. All right, I do have to go. I have to get on. I've got to film a little bit more feedback Friday. It is beautiful. It is a Yamaha LL16. Please, 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 like and share the video. That would be absolutely amazing. Next week, I'm going to try and do this for a little longer, for a couple of hours. This is absolutely wonderful. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. Amazing questions. Really, really good. You're the man. You're the man, everybody. Thank you so much. Yes, it will go up afterwards. So please do me a favor. When you all get off, the way that YouTube works, and I don't know why, is they don't keep the questions up. So do me a favor and leave your questions on the bottom, and these ones that you're asking, and I'll get to it. I promise I will get to them. If you know me, I always answer the questions. Even if sometimes it takes me a long time, I get back. Greetings, everyone. So I'm going to sign off now. Please, please, please leave your questions below. Thank you. Please hit the like button. Please share. And thanks. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Have a marvelous time recording and mixing. I really appreciate everything. And leave your questions and comments below. Have a marvelous time recording and mixing. Thank you ever so much.